everyone seems to be excited that their old school is going to be repurposed for economic reasons, for the training, again, for film productions, for diesel mechanic training. We see hope now, whereas before everyone thinks it's doom and gloom. But when we feel like we're at the bottom, we got nowhere to go but up. That's with the addiction problems that of all concept. That's why this would help. This gives these individuals an outlet for their life to be better. They have an opportunity to learn a skill and to move forward, and be good for their community, but most importantly, good for themselves, and serve the community, serve the region, the area, and serving the Lord in this. It's certainly going to be a great asset to both. People on addiction, they don't want to be on addiction. So this is a helping hand to guide them to be very productive, and they'll be able to stay, because as of now we're educating kids to leave to find jobs, whereas this will be an opportunity for them to stay. They have a family, they have children. The community, the government, the school system, all benefits. These are hardworking people that take pride in their work, and we don't go by shifts. We go by, is the job completed yet? We want to get it done. There is no stigma issues in our area. Everyone here knows everyone, and they know if they have an addiction problems, you don't turn their back on them, you try to help them.
I'm a physical therapist by trade. That's what I did for a living. Originally, bachelor's and master's from UK. Did that for 13 years, but the entire time through college and while I was a physical therapist, I was severely addicted to drugs for 18 years. But on this past Friday, I celebrated 11 years of being sober. Back when I went to treatment, there wasn't much treatment in Kentucky back in 2014, and I stumbled into a grassroots ministry that saved my life. And so one of the many variations of our plans has this being part recovery center for training, for helping people who need it when they need help, and not only for the treatment piece, but also for the job training piece. A guy that I know really well that's from Middlesboro, Jeff Whitehead, he always said that a good job is great medicine. And sometimes people are missing that job opportunity on the other side of their addiction. Yeah. To not get sober, but stay sober. You can't stop using drugs. You have to replace that with a life, with purpose, with work, and with meaningful work that has an upward mobility to it. Because a lot of times people get stuck in something and in addiction, and they have to replace it with something positive.
We've also looked at what if there was a small clinic in here. Daycare is a possibility. From the clinic standpoint, we're calling it an emergency room plus or urgent care plus. It's essentially a place to, if there is an emergency and somebody needs to go to the ER, given the fact that the closest hospital can be up to 45 minutes away and take up to that long for an ambulance to get to Evarts, that this could be a place to stabilize a patient and provide care while an ambulance or a helicopter comes in. It could also be health education, have educational spaces other than that, indoor and outdoor kids, play spaces.
The ability to train women in recovery, give them hope and opportunity, but at the same time where you're focusing on the counties and communities that never get the exposure. Talk to me about how you are able to merge them two together to make bear fruit for Amazon Prime and Tubi.
Yeah, no, this is, the show is a beautiful concept, right? Appalachia's Happiest Places is meant to shine a light on positive stories across, right now, Eastern Kentucky. Thank you to the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Committee for their support. With our show, we're really going to these counties that don't have huge marketing budgets, and we're showing off the coolest things about them. What you're not really seeing in the show is these women's stories. This whole show was produced by women in recovery.
You're going to become a business owner and entrepreneur. Why is that important to these women?
Well, the whole program's called Entrepreneurship Through Creativity. So it's not just a film and media course, it's also teaching a little bit about what I've learned in 10 years of running and growing a business. And the first thing you want to do is separate your personal assets from any business liability. And there's tons of benefits to doing that as well, which they're learning about at the moment. But what we're trying to do is shift them out of one mindset and into another, genuinely. It's, hey, you can get paid in cash for help, quick, easy. Now you're going to learn how someone who's not me is going to pay you. You're going to send an invoice, you're going to wait, and it will come. And then now we're getting on a more regular schedule where they're setting up businesses, we're getting direct deposits. It's fun and exciting, but they wouldn't have learned that if there wasn't like some forced learning to it. Really, it's all rooted in wanting the best for them. I want them to be in this field for 10, 15, 20 years. I want them to have million subscriber YouTube channels. I want them to win Emmys. I want them to do everything that is being called of them from this field. And they can't do that if they don't have a good foundation to build off of. So that's really what we're focused on, is how do you get audio to connect to the camera? How do you line stuff up? How do you make it look good?
There are other opportunities for the facility. Initially, we're looking at doing an opportunity for broadcasting and filming and training folks for work in the film industry and having space available for recording, green space, so to speak. Any type of production could be done here. We have access to gig internet in this community, so we can be in Evarts, Kentucky, create absolutely wonderful productions at a low cost as far as overhead and facilities go, and broadcast across the world from Evarts, Kentucky.
The most amazing thing to me about Evarts, Kentucky, it's a gigabyte. It's been gigabyte for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remote work is a big thing here, right? Having gigabyte technology where you could transfer large files from Evarts, Kentucky, a whole film that can be transferred to Hollywood. So phase one of Hope High KY is the library. Make this a green room studio. What we would like in the future, and we're going to propose it and write the grant, is what can we do with you all here to create WBOA, make it come to fruition, and give people in recovery, which live here in Evarts, Kentucky, a studio to live, work, and be creative. And this is why this library is so important. It really ties in education to what we're doing. And of course, we're going to keep some of the books. The studio is our plan. This will all be green room, computers, and this room, or that, one of these rooms, this room, will be WBOA's, the anchor to the news station, that we can easily do for a lot cheaper than everybody else because we know how to do the work. So we can move this wall out, and all of a sudden we got a news station that we could bring people in, and our women in recovery can become the journalists, they can become the news anchors.
That I don't know if Eric's touched on yet, and I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late to the party, but
From the studio up here.
like for instance, this Thursday, the Benham Inn up there, they're gonna have the local premiere of the movie Hazard, which was filmed across Harlan County. Since that time, I know of two others that I've had some I don't want to say involvement with it. I'm not a producer, not a director, but site locations, different things like that. As recently as last Friday, even they were doing casting calls and doing different things for some of them are indie films, some of them are a little more major than that. And then of course we had the Evening Hour and the other one that took place a few years back. But Kentucky's also moving forward with their Senate bill, I think, that's really pushing the film industry in Kentucky.
It's going to make us rank number 2 in the nation for film tax credits.
It is, I think just behind Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the main things that came up, and Chase and I had a conversation about this, one of the main things that came up, Eddie Minzer, the gentleman that did the larger scale movie that I was on, he said, man, if I had a green room, man, if I had some green screen space. So that was one of the things that is going to be really a huge key to bringing people, because when you start talking green screen stuff, that's Lexington's and Louisville's and all that. And then sometimes visually, if you need to set a movie in 1976, I'll find you a building that looks just like you walked out of the discotheque and walked in there to get a coffee or get whatever it is. So we have a kind of a full range of visual, whether it's building structures, mountains, 4 full seasons. You can film here pretty much anything you want to film.
As a owner of multiple businesses, what do you think that we need to continue on with the pathway of Appalachia's Happiest Place and the film production studio? How do we get to the next step?
I think we're seeing it all kind of happen in tandem. The dominoes start to fall. We've got the support from JTF that made the domino of this production facility start to fall, which I think is starting to help the dominoes of more money and more interest start to fall. Looking at it from a timeline perspective, it's going to be just interesting to see how fast all of those things happen. Once that podcast room is open, I think that's when you're going to have to really understand where your vision's at, because the private money is going to come falling out of the sky. This is too big of an opportunity for the private sector to pass up. There's a huge development happening within 30 minutes of this that's going to bring 800,000 people a year.
What can we do to recruit the opportunities that's coming to Kentucky to get them to come to Eastern Kentucky and create a network where the film producers in California, Dallas, wherever, know to come and look for 4x3 production and Back Roads of Appalachia? How do we do that?
Film commissions, at least from my experience, one, considerably speaking, we need a seat at the table, or else we're just going to get gated off from the opportunities. The second part is it's a little bit of recon work where you're sending the person representing your region to Sundance or Tribeca, because those are where directors and producers who are making movies that are, oh, hey, if I'm making a low-budget $2 million movie and some random guy from Kentucky's up in my ear telling me he's about to get me $1 million kicked back, I'm gonna shoot my movie in Kentucky. There's nothing changed in my mind, and that's how these incentives work, and that's how those conversations work. You know, Cincinnati's film commissioner is someone I'm close with, and that's what she does. She spends a lot of her year traveling the country, talking to filmmakers. She could have a beer with someone in Tempe, Arizona that decides to spend $2 million in Ohio.
Oh yes, it has a local impact, will have a local impact by the amount of funding that it will generate to come into this area. There will need to be housing. The housing here while they take it, it's just like the part of this could be like dorm rooms while they're taking the training. And it's not just for our local people, which it's going to be a great asset to, but it's also going to bring people in from the outer cities and states to come in. And you know, once they're here, they're trained here, they're repurposing of their life, and this will become home for them. They'll raise their families here, and I think it'll be a vital, important to turning the economy around, that a different approach than we've tried in the past.
But Sandy asked me if I would spend just a few moments to talk to you about the role that philanthropy can play in moving this into Hope High. And one of the things is that when you look at looking for money, we tend to think of private, that's one leg of the stool, private, and that's the investments and those types of things. We look at public, you know, we go to our local governments and we ask, what can you do to help get this place invested in and so forth. We look for grants, that's always a big part of what we're looking for. But the fourth leg of that capital investment is got to be philanthropy. Now it's smaller, okay, and there's no denying it's smaller, and the fact that we're in rural America means that it's even smaller than it has any ethical right to be. But that doesn't mean we stop trying. Why is philanthropy that fourth leg? Well, one of the reasons is because of this thing called impact investing. And that is those very well-off people and well-off families that want to make a specific impact in something in particular. And sitting here in Evarts, you have a number of angles that might attract a philanthropist. Okay, one of them is the preservation of something beautiful and historic. Another is the idea of coal diversification, to be able to show the success of being able to diversify your economy and to be able to introduce other components to it that you all have been talking about with this business plan.
How we can continue to reach a demographic of the need to relocate to Evarts, Kentucky.
The need is there. I think it's a little bit of marketing, right? I think we're seeing the economy crunch a little bit and people looking to relocate out of bigger cities. It's a little bit of build it and they will come, right? I think part of it is providing housing, right? You can't expect 500 new people to move here if there's not 500 new places for them to sleep. You know, and not to put too much vision out there, but it is as easy as a production studio and a couple studio apartments getting opened up to prove concept and make money. And then while that's happening, phase 2, phase 3 of construction can still be happening.
But I think, you know, even with this, if we start programs, we could put a bathroom in here.
Yeah.
Create this as a room, have a lockable door. You have your own private space where you could live and work and train and then go back to your home.
Yeah.
And while you're here, you're spending money in the community. So.
And these could even, to the Ben point, Eric, these could even be like studio apartments for people like relocating from
And that might be an option, is to offer them that studio apartment and have a HOA where they pay dues every year for insurance.
Residential is a possibility. I think this building would suit very well for residential, certainly on the second floor. Also on the first floor could work as well. Senior living, Airbnbs, apartments. In many cases, that's a mixed use scenario where we've got residential, and then on the first floor we have, in this case, job training, vehicular maintenance, entrepreneurship, and then also we have been looking at a health and wellness could take place in this building. Certainly in the existing gym, there is ample room for a wellness center. Certainly you could have fitness, you could have classes.
If you build it, they will come. Remember the movie Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. If you want your neighborhood to look good, start with your own house. Mow your own lawn. If you want this beautiful old 1937 gymnasium with the attached classrooms and the trophy case intact, you're going to have to keep a good roof on it, and you're going to have to recruit the support. I know this from being a county attorney. You're going to have to recruit the support of every economic interest in the county, and that includes county government through the fiscal court. But it also means making this place a place to come to, so that on Saturday mornings, kids can still play on this beautiful parquet floor. It means welcoming veterans. This is a beautiful place. And I think of this county in a very intimate way. I am not a son of this county, but I am a grandson of this county. My great-great-grandfather built the log cabin that you all see outside of the Pine Mountain Settlement School. You have the vision. If you build it, they will come. And you'll have all kinds of groups accessing this building and using it for everything imaginable, from potluck suppers and kids playing basketball, all the way to veterans reunions and EHS reunions.
Senate Bill 1 passing is going to make Kentucky a lot more competitive to win studio projects when it comes to filmmaking and television. It gives them incentives to film here and hire people from here, so it's extremely positive for this region. But what we're seeing on our side of things, or at least how I'm saying, is we've been building into that before we even knew it was happening. We're training all of these women to be media professionals. There's going to be a dozen movies shot here next year just because Netflix can get a $6 million check from the state of Kentucky to come shoot here. We're preparing ourselves, I think, for future economies with film, media, TV production, especially with how much you're seeing people on social media now. The first class of people that relocates here, I think they're going to be nomadic side of life. They want to they might travel a lot and see the world a lot still, but this is their base and this is their roots because it's affordable, like you said. I think phase 2 of people moving in here is going to be because they see how well phase 1 did. With Benham, I think, and this is not critical, but I think it's a marketing thing. And I think that that's what our secret sauce is the internet and marketing and not being afraid to talk about what we're doing and what we've got going on. This is a bigger location. I feel like that makes it a bigger opportunity. I mean, I've never done a full real estate, nail-to-nail renovation like this. I'm feeling less anxious about it because of the team that you've helped build. Everyone's really good at what they're good at, and we don't try to step over each. I'm not trying to help Sandy engineer, and Sandy's not trying to help me shoot and edit videos. And I think that's props to you. Yeah, I love our partnership. I love working with Backroads of Appalachia. I can't wait to see where this partnership goes. And we're very thankful for JTF and all of their support.
To be able to have our own media content, and if you follow anything to do with legislation, Senate Bill 1 that passed this year is the Film Commission. As we all know, there's a lot of people that come here from Justified, as a prime example. They do their filming, then what do? They leave. Well, what if we got our own green room studio? We can do the editing and production, and our local people can do that, not just for movies and TV shows for Eastern Kentucky, but in the United States. I can't think of a better place to film. We're ahead of the game. You start thinking about Eastern Kentucky, where everybody always made a mockery of us. Our neighbors over in West Virginia would kill to have the broadband internet we have here.
But one thing I've heard today over and over and over, and I find it so true in all of Eastern Kentucky, is we have pride, we have heart, we have compassion, we have grit. With all that, the only other thing we need is a little vision. When you put vision, you put heart, and you put grit, you're bound to succeed. So take that difference of opinions and come with a plan of what's your goal, what's the outcome you're looking for.
So we are very excited about this project. We've been working for, we had mentioned, a month, looking at primary and alternate uses for the building. I think we could go on and on, but this is a good opportunity for Evarts and for Harlan County to invest in existing infrastructure to give back to the community. This investment can give this building another 100 years of life, and we're certainly excited to be a part of it.
I was asked to tell the story of Evarts, the area that was needed back in the days during World War II times. We had a couple come here. He was from Russia. His wife was from Poland. They came here. We were the Silicon Valley, Harlan County was, for work. The coal needs, so many people employed. We're in that time frame, Harlan County was in the high 80s of population, high 80,000s of population. Their names was Appleman, Harry and Bina Appleman. Harry was a photographer, and it's ironic that we're going back to and doing some film production and everything here in Evarts in the high school. And in this time frame, this year's, a photographer, there just wasn't a whole lot of demand for it at that time, but yet they came here, and they was of Jewish faith. Mr. Appleman and his wife started a clothing store that's still here in Evarts, known today as Kilgore's. It was the Appleman clothing store. There's still old advertisements written on rocks, big cliff lines just up the road that you would compare them to today as billboards that you see on the highways. They were of Jewish faith, which was kind of unusual in this area. But during Passover, their belief was no one to go hungry. This was during the organizing time. You had the big coal companies and you had the union. Mrs. Appleman had a soup kitchen across from the clothing store. sit about where today the Fuller's building that you see in Evarts. They took their life savings, the end of $5,000, and bought a train car, a coal car, box coal car, of flour to give to anyone of need. Again, this was at Passover, so they wanted to do the Lord's work that no one would go hungry. So anyone that could would get a 10-pound bag of flour. The coal company thought they were sympathizing with the union. So in the middle of the night, the soup kitchen that Mrs. Appleman ran was blown up. And they had children. They had children. I actually met their children a few years ago, but by then they were already in their early 90s. That had grown up here, not grown up, but was early life here in Evarts. Because of their wanting to give back to the community, the love of the Lord, basically they were ran out of town. My connection with them was my grandfather purchased some property from them, and they built a home on it. And I still have a copy of the deed. He would send $5 payments and so forth. Back then, the property wasn't very expensive then. Harry and Bina Appleman and their children ultimately wound up in New York City. They bought property. He was an entrepreneur. He'd see a piece of property, he bought it. One was in Brooklyn, New York. And this was in the era of outdoor drive-in theaters. He would sell this property to theater, movie production people, or shows, outdoor theaters. Became a multi-millionaire. They used their wealth to build several schools in Israel. They wanted to give back to Israel, the homeland. And these schools still exist today there, and the foundation is still ongoing. Hopefully they would be of help to our project, the family that's continuing on doing it, their grandchildren and so forth. It was misfortunate that what had happened to them, but ultimately it wound up giving so much more. At one time, he was bidding on the Waldorf Hotel in New York. He didn't get it, but he was capable of doing that. After leaving here, coming here with nothing, she had no family. All of her family was annihilated in Poland during the war. So this became the home of the children today, their children.
Well, this is the end of our documentary so far with hopeiky.org is where you can check out where we're at. We did our final community meeting, closing up our JTF and Rockefeller Philanthropy grant. It's been a battle. We've had a lot of ups and downs and what we can do with this property. How can we redevelop it? But most importantly, how can we have community pride? What I found through this process and this fund from JTF is struggles. It's usually the Eastern Kentucky way. One thing I saw today that still discourages me, the new Appalachia Regional Commission release of the distressed counties inside of the Appalachian region. I see a lot of lighter colors and dark reds, and the dark reds is still in Eastern Kentucky. What can we do to change that atmosphere? And what I really believe with what HOPI stands for, with the right partners, which you see in the documentary, is how we can make a model here in every red dot that we can change it where we will not become a distressed county in Eastern Kentucky. So with that, for our funders, for our funders, future funders or past funders, and most importantly, our federal funders, I hope you enjoyed this documentary. We are in dire need of your help, and you see we work the plan, and we also plan to work. So thank you so much. We look forward to continuing our documentary. Have a wonderful day.